Hi you, welcome to the channel and thank you for joining me on this video. Now I created this beautiful two-piece for myself, and on this video I'll be showing you how I created the top version. Okay, now if you want to create the skirt to get the complete outfit, the link is going to be on my description box below, so go there, click on the link on how to make the skirt, and you're going to be having this complete outfit for yourself. But on this particular video I'll show you how I created the top. And yeah, thank you for joining me, and let me just show you the steps I'll be following. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and create a basic bodice and also create the facing for the neckline, and then I'll create the sleeve. So these are easy steps that we're going to follow together, and I'll carry you guys along as I create mine. Now on my cutting table here I have my fabric folded into two. Okay, this fabric is folded into two, and here is the wrong side of my fabric, and the fabric I'm using for this project is called crepe, and that is what I'm using to create my two-piece. Now the first thing I'm going to do is I'll divide my own shoulder measurements by 2, and I'll mark it here on the top of the fabric. Okay, this point is where my shoulder measurements is going to sit, and I'm going to divide my shoulder by 2 and mark it here, SH. The measurements you need are going to be on the screen, so go ahead and divide what I'm dividing by 2 and mark your own measurement on your own fabric at the top here where I'm marking my own after folding into 2. Now from the point where I mark my shoulder measurement divided by 2, I'll come down by 1 inch, and that is going to be for my slope. Remember, your shoulder is not straight, it is slopey, so go ahead and mark your slope down from your shoulder measurement 1 inch. So now I'll connect the slope to the neckline like this, and I'll use my ruler for this. Okay, step by step we go together, holding hands. Now that is done, I'll divide my round armhole by 2 and mark this down from my slope. So right now I'm taking my armhole measurement, and I'll divide whatever I get right now by 2 and mark this down from the slope. So before I connect, I'll confirm my shoulder measurement on this width. So what I marked here on the shoulder was 7.5, because my shoulder measurement was 15 divided by 2 gives you 7.5. And now I'll confirm this 7.5 here on my armhole point, and you can see I am way off. I'll adjust this back to 7.5 because it has to be the same, it has to align. Okay, so 7.5 here, I'll mark this down. And now I can go ahead and connect that point to the slope with a straight line. And I'll also rule an horizontal line, and this is where my armhole curve will be sitting when I'm ready to create one. Now the next step I will be taking is I'll mark my bust points down for my shoulder line. So I'll place the tape here on the top of the fabric, which is my shoulder points. The top, okay, not the slope, the top of the fabric, and I'll go down to mark my bust point, which is 10.5. So this is my bust point B. The next thing I'll do is mark the top length, and I'm using 18 inches as my top length. So I'll place my tape from the top of the fabric again and not the slope. Okay, I'll go down to mark the length, 18 inches. And now I'm going to mark the apex line, and to do this I have to divide my nipple to nipple by 2 and mark this down from the center front of the fabric. Okay, and this is what I'm doing. I'm marking 4 inches in from the center front, and I mark this on my bust point and on the length. I'll rule a straight line, and this line here is called an apex line. This is the line where you mark your darts. Okay, take note. Now to mark out my darts, I'll be marking 1/2 inch on each side of that apex line. So 1/2 inch here and 1/2 inch here. 1/2 inch this way, 1/2 inch in here. Okay, so this is me taking my dart, and go ahead and take your dart also. Okay, mark along with me. Like I said, we're going to be holding hands. So now we're gonna go ahead and mark that dart straight up to the box. We'll connect it to the bust point, to the bust line like this. just look at exactly what I'm doing. I'm just marking a line from the bust down to the 1/2 inch we have on each side. And now we can go ahead and divide our round measurement by 4, and I'll start with my bust line. I'll divide my round bust by 4 and mark this down on my bust line. Take the measurement upwards like this to the armhole. Okay, so connect it to the armhole. I'm just making sure it's straight. And now I'll go ahead and look for the middle point of my armhole. Okay, I'll place the tape from the slope here to the armhole point. I'll fold my tape into 2, and this is going to enable me know the middle point. So I'll indicate the middle point right now, 4 inches. From the 4 inches, I'll mark 1/2 inch in. We're about to create the armhole curve. Okay, now I can use my hand or my ruler to connect this. Okay, so if you don't have a ruler like me, just go ahead and use your free hand and just make a curve like this and connect both to the slope and to the point where your armhole is sitting. Okay, so this is the armhole curve for the front piece, and that was really easy. Now I'll divide my round waist by 4. I'll mark this down on the waist line and also replace the dart that we took. Okay, that line that you're seeing on the waist, the dart, 1 inch, I'll replace it. So I'm replacing the dart, and now I'll connect this to the bust. I'll connect the lines. And this is the front piece of this top. Okay, so now I'll go ahead and mark 1 inch sewing allowance because I'm marking directly on my fabric and not a pattern. So I need to add the sewing allowance so I don't sew into my measurement. Okay, so this is 1 inch and this is my allowance for sewing. I'll go ahead and cut out the front piece. This was really easy, and I hope you were able to follow along to create your own top piece. Let me know in the comment section and like this video. Okay, like this video if it is of any help to you. Now go ahead and notch your dart. Okay, notch your dart so it is able to transfer to the other side of the fabric. Okay, so notch, and let's create the neckline. Now the neck width I'll be using for my top is 3.5, so I'll mark 3.5 inches in. That is the wideness of my neck, 3.5 inches in. And now I'll mark 3 inches down as the neck depth. I'll connect both points with a curve, and this is the neckline for my top. Now if you're a beginner, you should just go ahead and mark along as I do. Don't ask too much question. 3.5 inches is your neck width and 3 inches is your neck depth. Unless you're bigger than me, you want to do 4 inches in and maybe 4 inches down. Okay, so but if you have the same neckline or you have the same body structure like me, just go ahead and mark as I mark. Okay, and I'll be explaining to you guys on a different video on how to achieve necklines, that and all those things. Okay, but this is my front piece of my top, and let's go ahead and create the back piece. Now for the back piece, I have my fabric also folded into 2, and the first thing we're going to do is mark the zip allowance. I'm going in by 1.5 inches. Okay, and that is going to be for my zip. So from the folded point, I'm going in by 1.5. This is my zip allowance. So go ahead and take your zip allowance. It's very, very necessary. Please do this. I'll use a line to demarcate this from the rest of the fabric before I place my front piece and trace it out on this fabric. Okay, so this is my front piece. I'm going to place it after that zip allowance. Okay, remember, after the zip allowance, I'll place my front piece on that fabric or on this fabric, and now I'm going to mark the back neckline, and that is 1 inch for the depth, but the width is the same thing as the front piece, the same width, the same wideness, which is 3.5, but the depth for my back is going to be 1 inch, and that's what I'm marking here and connecting it to the width like this. Easy peasy. Let me know if it was easy for you. For the zip, I'm just adjusting by marking 1 inch on the bust and then 1 inch on the length, but on the shoulders I'm going to leave the 1.5 and connect this 1 inch straight to the shoulders. Okay, so I'm connecting the 1 inch from the bust to the length, and now I'm connecting it to the shoulders like this. And then I just indicated the middle points of my armhole and I'm just connecting. So what I'm doing is tracing out the armhole without going in by the 1/2 inch. I'm tracing the front armhole on the fabric so I can get my back armhole, and I'll just go ahead and cut. Okay, so actually back piece is actually the very easiest thing to create. Okay, so notch your darts so you can transfer to your back pattern or your back piece. Okay, so what I'm doing right now is transferring my darts from my front piece to my back piece by notching. Now I can go ahead and cut out the neckline and also the armhole. So practically we just trace the front piece on the back piece, but making sure that our back piece has zip allowance, okay, of 1.5 inch, which we later adjusted. Okay, so make sure you understand all the steps and let me know if you have any troubles following along. Okay, now I'll take off my front piece, and this is my back piece divided into 2 because of the zip. For us to create the facing, I'm just going to bring a fabric here, fold it into 2. You can see it is folded into 2. And now I'll place my front piece on this fabric, just the neckline. Okay, we're creating the facing and the facing is meant for just the neckline. So I'll place the neckline on this fabric and trace. So it's always good for you to iron so you have that ghetto line indicating. Okay, I'm about to cut out this neckline of the front piece on this fabric. I'm just transferring the neckline only to the fabric. Look at what I'm doing, just follow my hand. Whatever my hand is doing, go ahead and do the same. Now see, the neckline of the front piece now is on the fabric. Now what I'll do is I'll mark 3.5 inch round this fabric. Okay, so that's what I'm marking, 3.5 inches round, and I'm just following that curve we just created from the front neckline to the fabric. After transferring my neckline from the front piece to this fabric, what I did next was to mark 3.5 inches round that curve of the neckline, and I'm just going to go ahead and cut. So this is how the facing for my front piece look. You can see the neckline. Okay, it just duplicates on this fabric. This is how you just get your facing, the easiest way to follow to create your facing. So what we have to do to attach this now is we'll go ahead and we're going to sew in the base of the facing. We'll sew it in by 1/2 inch and then sew on the neckline. Okay, so this is the neckline, we'll sew by 1/2 inch, and also on the base we'll fold it in by 1/2 inch. Okay, now we're going to go do this and also sew in the darts. So sew in your darts on your pieces, that's your front piece and your back piece, and also sew in the facing. And this is the facing for my back piece. It is divided into 2, just as the back piece is divided into 2 because of the zip. And then I'll do the same thing for the facing. This is the result. I've sewn in the base, and then I attach the facing to the neckline, right side facing right side. And now I'm just going to go ahead and iron so it lays flat and flip to the wrong side. Okay, so ironing makes everything easy. So you see how it automatically just flipped to the wrong side, and now I'm just going to iron it and make it flat and use my hemming gun to make it sit there forever. Okay, so the facing is just going to help my the hemming gum is going to help my facing sit really flat on this fabric and never leaves where it is supposed to be. Okay, it's just going to sit properly and flat forever and ever, and this is how it looks. Okay, all done, everything looks nice, and I'm going to repeat the same step for the back piece. I'm just going to iron this and use my hemming gun to put it in place. And see the darts, I have sewn in the darts, so I'm just going to iron so it lays really flat. Make sure you have sewn in your facing and also sewn in your darts. Now this is my back piece, and you can see the facing is sewn in completely clean and well, and this is how it looks. You can see the dart is also done, sewn, and all is looking good and nice. So I'll first of all take this to my sewing machine and close up the zip allowance by 1 inch from the top to the base, 1 inch. And then I'm just going to go ahead and place my front piece on the back piece and sew the sides, the shoulder, and I'll bring this back for you guys to see the results. So I'm sewing the sides by 1/2 inch, the shoulder too by 1/2 inch, and now let's go ahead and create the sleeves. Now for my sleeves, I have my fabric here folded into 2, and now I'll show you guys the first steps now. The first step I'm going to do is I'm going to show you guys how long my sleeve is going to be, and that is 27 inches, okay? 27 inches long, that's the length. And now I'm going to divide my round bust by 12 plus 0.5 inch, and I'll mark this down from the top of my fabric, okay? My round bust is 36 divided by 12 gives you 3. 3 plus 0.5 gives you 3.5, and I just marked 3.5 down from the top of my fabric. Now on the line, I'm going to mark my armhole measurements I used on the top plus allowance, and that's what I'm going to mark on this line. So my armhole measurement I use for the top is 9.5. I have indicated that point. I'll connect that point like this to this point here with a slant like this, okay? Just follow along. Now I'm just going to find the middle point of this line I just marked. I'll fold my tape into 2 to know the middle point. Okay, so I'm just going to find the middle point like this, fold into 2. That will automatically give you the middle point. Mark that out. I'll mark 1/2 inch up, and now I'll connect the 1/2 inch. I'll connect the 1/2 inch down like this to the point, and then I'll connect up like this, okay? Up here with a curve and down we go. So we're going to start off going like this, up with the curve, and then we'll go down with the curve. See the down. Now this is why I don't like marking on the fabric, okay? Marking on the fabric is actually really stressful, especially when you're using a very light fabric that does not stay one place. When you're marking your measurements, you always get it wrong. So that is why I always go with my pattern paper. But when I was creating this 2-piece, I had to just mark on the fabric, because a lot of people were just requesting that I mark directly on the fabric, which is something I barely do, okay? Because it is really stressful, and it is, I don't know, I feel like pattern is always the best. But anyways, moving on, I'm just going to go ahead and open this to create the channel for elastic. From the base of my sleeves, I'll go up to create the point where I'll create elastic, okay? So where I want my elastic to sit, I'm going to mark that up from the base, okay? So I'll go up by 8 inches from the base of my fabric. I'll mark 8 inches upwards. And at this point, I'm just going to create the channel for where I will pass my elastic later, okay? And I'm marking all this measurement on the wrong side. Now this is the fabric I'm going to use to create the channel for my elastic, and you can create a bias for yourself or just use the normal bias and sew this on the wrong side of your fabric, okay? I created the fabric where I have sewn in 1/2 inch and 1/2 inch on each side of the fabric, which gives it a clean spot or a clean finish, and I'm just going to place it on that line and sew on the side. Give me a medium or a channel where I can pass my elastic. And done, okay? See, it is done. Now you can use a bias to do this, but I just did that and also hemmed the base of my fabric. See how it looks? The base of my sleeves is hemmed by 1/2 inch, and I'll go ahead and pass my elastic through that channel. And the elastic I'm using right here is 8 inches long, okay? I'll pass the elastic to the channel I have created for the elastic, and I'm going to use my safety pin for this. Take your time. Do not rush any process. If you're a beginner, you want to soak the whole process in so you master the art of creating it yourself and not just create and forget the process. Okay, so take your time, understand the process, and let me know what you think. So now it's done. I'll go ahead and close off my sleeves by sewing the sides that is open by 1/2 inch, and then I'll go join this to the armhole. So this is the armhole. I'm going to measure what I have on the armhole so that can guide me on what to sew on my sleeves. So measuring here, I'm getting 10 inches. So I'll make sure that what I sew on my sleeves is going to be 10 inches space left, okay? So I'm going to indicate that from my curve here. I'll go ahead and calculate till I get 10 inches. And I'll sew the rest in. And I'll sew the rest in from the top here down to the length of the sleeves like this by 1/4 inch or 1/2 inch, and that is it. Okay, it is done. See how clean it looks, see how beautiful it is looking. I'll flip this to the right side and now go ahead and attach this to the armhole. Okay, so you can go ahead and make your sleeve wider than mine, bigger than mine, longer than mine, whatever you want to do. Just go ahead and do you, girl. But this is how I achieved my own. And this is the both sleeve attached to my top. Now I have to sew in my zip. So I have to indicate where I want to stop when attaching my zip. I'll use my seam ripper to rip this up. And at least I'll stop by at least 2 to 3 inches before the length. Okay. I'm not going to go all the way because I want to hem the length. So I'll just stop halfway, not halfway, almost all the way. So my zip is going to be sitting here. I've sewn in my zip. This video is really fast. Okay, so this is it sewn in. So the next thing I need to do, or the last thing I need to do, is hem the base of my top. And I guess that is it for this video. Okay, so this is how it's looking already. Let's go ahead and hem the base of the top using the hemming gum. Okay, I'll hem this in using my hemming gum. And you guys, this is how I created the top version of this two-piece. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Let me know what you think. Anyways, in case you don't know and you're watching this for the first time, this is like a redo of this video because it was flagged as a copyrighted video, but then I had to re-edit and re-upload. And I hope the explanation this time around was of help to you. Let me know in the comment section. Let me know if it is of any help, and check out my videos, guys. I have like awesome videos where I create outfits that are simple to me. They are simple and I made it simple for you to understand. So check it out and let me know what you think. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. I'll be seeing you on my next video. Love and light to you wherever you are. Bye for now.